Alright, my thoughts on Goldberg's last match. Let's make this very clear. I did not watch generally Saturday night's main event. When I was trying to find out where, and I found a place I could see the replay. I was trying to find out where the recording was. I came across the last two things that was done before the match itself, which was Jelly Roll getting Claymored in the face by a Drew McIntyre, and seeing Naomi whoop some ass before their match today, which is happening today at Evolution. I am going to review it. But that was it. Didn't watch any of the matches before. I didn't care about watching any of the matches before. I just wanted to do this because I wanted to know what happened with Goldberg's last match. How did it go? And did he do a good job of it? How did the people react to it? And how do I feel about seeing what I saw? That's all I cared about. Let me give it to you like this. Seeing the opening of the match with Gunther and how he basically was immune to those damn chops. He's going, get in the face. He looks like this. I'm not going to tell you that Goldberg was a great pro wrestler. He was a dominant pro wrestler. Let's make this clear. There's a difference between being dominant and being great. Because we've had, over the years, over the decades, dominant pro wrestlers that were never great pro wrestlers. We had wrestlers that looked like they were carved out of granite and were dominant, but doesn't mean they were heavily remembered for what they were doing. Let's make it very clear. There were a lot of wrestlers that looked just great, but when it came to personality, came to how they connected with the fans, that didn't mean jack shit. So no matter how dominant the promoter booked them, didn't make a difference unless the people really got over with them. And that's what happened with Goldberg. He got over. He was always just stoic. He was always the type of person, what few times I could watch him, because remember, I've stated this before and I'll never change what I said. Between 1993 to 2002, I could not watch pro wrestling. One, I said this to someone in a comment. I have no problem saying it now, because I don't normally say it. But during the time of 1993 to 2002, several things happened. One, my mother passed away. She had, unfortunately, complications to chemotherapy because she had breast cancer. So she passed away to complications. Then I went to school, met my ex-wife there, and then when we were married, she had no real interest in pro wrestling. And next to me working constantly, and her not saying, hey honey, why don't we watch a little bit of WCW, WWE? She didn't say none of that. She didn't really care. Whenever I put it on, she said, what are you watching? I say, just looking at a little pro wrestling. I want to see this. I said, fine. And I've changed it. Because I didn't want to start a fight with her and I didn't want to do anything. With what little time I had and not trying to start a fight with my ex. And admittedly, not a huge amount of interest in wrestling, even though I still loved it. There you go. Not until we were separated and then subsequently divorced did I go back to seeing pro wrestling again. Which was roughly about 10 or 11 years. So I missed the years between when Goldberg was at his peak and then went to WWE. And I did see some of that. But it's not the same as seeing him in WCW. So I cannot really say how incredibly great he is, even if I see some old videos of it. There's a big difference. You have to be there at the time to really, truly appreciate a pro wrestler if they were great. Dominant is one thing, but being a great pro wrestler that reached the fans, not just with their work in the ring, but their personality, how they talk, how they react with their charisma. So for me, I don't really have a big good or bad when it comes to a Goldberg. I know he was a legend. I know he earned it because of how people just connected with him. But for me, I can't say he was bad or good. I have to go by the bits I was able to see. And by the time he was nearing retirement, well, technically, he just stopped working. Like Brock Lesnar stopped working to go to UFC before he had his diverticulitis during that time and had to stop that. I will say this. Goldberg was interesting. Because he already was over so heavily, I couldn't say I really hated him. I just had to go with what I already knew. It was in WCW. I saw him maybe once or twice, maybe 3 times. I never got a chance to really see how great he was back then. So when I did see him in WWE, around the time when he came in 2001, 2002, and left in 2003, I believe. Last match was with Brock Lesnar. It didn't really feel right. For me personally, he looked impressive. He looked alright, but then he didn't look alright. He's kind of giving off the feeling like a Stone Cold Steve Austin did. Because by the time I saw Stone Cold in 2002, going in 2003, just before he finally had to stop, around 2003 to 2004, he was at the tail end of it. And I liked Stone Cold. He had charisma out his ass. He just was, well, you're going to try something and I'm going to take your head off. And then playing the guitar with Kurt Angle, who could not work because both of them were injured. And they had to get over. And I loved how that was. For me personally, that's how I saw it when I could see SmackDown, because that's how I used to see it. And, got to say it, because at that time I could not go to the pay-per-views and I didn't have cable. I had to buy bootleg videotapes to be able to see the pay-per-views. Yes, I bought bootleg videotapes. And if you don't know what that is, just so a little context. What people did when you go to the websites now and you watch replays, they put them on either DVDs or videotape, VHS. So I was the one at the time before I transitioned to DVD was getting videotapes. That's how I used to watch my stuff. But let me give it to you like this. This match, seeing that when it came to Gunther, he sold a lot for a Bill Goldberg. Bill did try to make it work, and they played up the actual issue he had with one of his knees. I believe his right knee is shot. Now, I don't know when he's going to get surgery. I think he's going to get surgery eventually. But his right knee is just done. He can't do what he wants to do anymore in his right knee. And during that match, they played that up, which was the wisest thing to do. There's no way you were going to get a 5-star match out of Goldberg with a bum knee. I know it better than anyone because I'm disabled and one of my knees is so bad that if I trip on my left leg, my knee literally goes from being straight like that. It collapses in on itself and I just hit the ground because I have no ability to be able to push back up. My knee is totally screwed up. So I understand that. So I identified with that. And they going by that for his last match was the wisest thing to do. Did he look dominant anytime? He did at brief moments. But then when he went through the barricade, and understand, he went in the barricade the wrong way. Instead of, this is the barricade where the padding is and the bracing. He decided to hit his damn chrome dome right here on the very edge as he's trying to nail Gunther with basically a spear. That did not look good. They showed a full replay of it, and it just looked bad. He might have dunged him, saying, he might have been legitimately, literally, and figuratively loopy. Because he did hit the brace. The edge of the brace, even with padding, can still make you loopy. And they tried to make it work. They tried to make it mean something. And I don't know where he got cut on his calf of, I believe, his left calf. Battery died. But let me give it to you like this. He had 2 cuts. One on the left calf, on his left leg. And then by the time Gunther decided to rip off his brace on his right knee, he was already bleeding there as well. So he was just bleeding all over the place. Yeah, we get to see his son, which I don't know if he's going to try and become a pro wrestler. He might. You never know. He jumps over the barricade where the fans are because Gunther was playing with that brace, knee brace, and screwing with him, and pretty much security had to hold him back. I'll give it to you like this. Was the ending the wisest thing to do to make him pass out? Yes. Let's make it very clear. There was no way without his knee brace, if his knee is that bad in real life, was he able going to do any more than what he did? I'm surprised to let that match go as long as it did. I'm not going to tell you that Goldberg looked bad. He didn't. He looked okayish for a guy who has a bad knee, who has not been not been in the ring for 3 years, and even though probably trained as much as he could with the injury he has, with the knee problems, it wasn't 100% bad. And passing him out was the wisest thing to do. And I'm going to leave it at that. I don't know how everybody else is going to say. They're going to say, oh, he shouldn't have even gotten in the ring. He just looked garbagey. Or some people say, well, they let him go out with dignity. Particularly that when the match was over and Michael Cole got in the ring with everybody he cared about. And that 1 minute he basically said, I'm sorry, it didn't go the way I wanted. But right here in Georgia, this is now my new hometown. I thank you all and I appreciate you. And that was it. They didn't even give him more than a minute to talk. Because they were on TV. But I'll give you this. If you look over Bill Goldberg's entire career, where he was in WCW, then he went and transitioned WWE, he went away, then 15 years later, came back a couple of times, and if you're going to be honest, you can easily say his first run in WCW was the most best he ever had. The second run was in WWE, which was somewhat okay. Even though he did become a champion. I think he became a champion, or he tried to become a champion. I don't remember right now. But it was not too bad. But when he decided to come back and did a couple of matches, particularly the one with The Undertaker, which ended so badly. It was the worst. I'm sorry. That match that he had with The Undertaker was so bad, so sloppy, that The Undertaker himself, who wasn't in great shape himself, when that match happened, where I think he got dropped on his damn dome because Bill wasn't in great shape either. Because remember, you and your partner have to be equally at least capable of doing some good work. Taker wasn't doing too good. Bill wasn't doing too good. And both of them did not look good. And Undertaker, you could see the damn frustration. He sat up during that match. He was fucking pissed off. Either at himself or at Bill. My guess is he would be pissed more at himself than at Bill Goldberg. Because he could not do the match the way he really wanted to. And couldn't compensate for Bill's misgivings or shortcomings. That's how Mark Calloway is. He'll leave it on himself more. He'll leave it on the other person. Not saying that he won't say he fucked up, but he would try to compensate for it. And he was not in better shape either before he had his surgeries and then subsequently was done and retired. So his first run in wrestling was dominant and was memorable and people loved it and they still remember it today. His second run was semi-okay because for me personally, that's when I saw him that things were different then. He was in a different mind state. His body probably wasn't in good shape either. And he went away like Brock Lesnar did, but Brock went to UFC while Bill just didn't wrestle anymore. And then his third time going back into wrestling again. And I know you're going to say, well, about a fourth time, and that was what happened with The Undertaker and then this one with Gunther. They just didn't work out. None of them. And to be honest, they didn't. They didn't look good. Yes, people were happy to see him, but once the first time, I don't even remember who he first faced. Who did he first face? I don't remember. I don't think it was Bray Wyatt. I don't even remember who he faced. I don't remember. I legitimately don't. But it could have been Roman Reigns. You guys can tell me below because I'm literally blanking on who he faced before The Undertaker. I'm just blanking. But that match was semi-alright. That's the most I can remember. I just don't remember who he was with. It was semi-alright, but it wasn't great. The Undertaker match was so bad that embarrassed The Undertaker that he just had a look on his face that I am so pissed off. And I know Bill wasn't happy about it either. And then it leads to this match, which wasn't perfect either. It wasn't great, but it wasn't 100% bad. You could see with Gunther, he was a little more easier on him. He didn't try to do any high speed or any high impact moves. He let Bill do spears and do whatever he wanted when he could do it. And he mostly made sure the match was grounded as much as possible because, let's make it clear, Bill just can't go They made it clear that his right knee was shot. He cannot run. He can't do the ropes anymore. He'll be lucky if he can get a couple of spears out. Yes, he did a good jackhammer, and then when he basically nailed what was his name? Roberts, I'm forgetting his name. Little Nate, as they call him. I remember more as Little Nate. But I'm going to say this. The beginning was okay. The middle was so-so until he started bleeding because he hurt himself. And then the ending was appropriate to make him be choked out and pass out. He didn't have to get any more embarrassed in the sense that Gunther had to be as slow as possible and methodical as possible to hide how much Bill could do. That was the wise thing to do, in my point of view, honestly. So, I'm thinking, should I keep this? I can go back to the site and download that Satellite Main Event and basically chop up the part that I want of Bill Goldberg versus Gunther. Do I want that? That's what I'm considering doing, either later tonight or tomorrow. And my thought is, yes, I am considering getting that video of that match. Why? It is historical. That was legitimately the last match of Bill Goldberg, the most dominant member of the roster of WCW, who was a decent wrestler in the not Attitude Era, but the Ruthless Aggression era of WWE. And finally, the last guy left. Pretty much it's the last guy left of the time of Vince McMahon. Let's make it very clear. He was around when Vince was becoming heavily dominant and revitalized the company and then made it become a publicly traded company. So he went through the WCW, he went through the WWE, and he's gone through Silver Lake WWE. He's gone through 3 eras of 2 different promotions. And I can honestly say it's a historical thing I think I should keep. Even if it's not the best match, I won't really remember it that much, but I will probably want to keep it as a historical reference of one of the best wrestlers that is from the era that is so dominant in pro wrestling. But that's just me. Peace. And I am doing my Evolution review. And after this, I will be watching The Great American Bash. And that is what I'm going to be doing. What I'm going to do now, before I turn this camera off, I'm going to finish this, which is once I finish talking and turn it off. Then I'm going to go watch The Great American Bash. Then I'm going to film The Great American Bash and upload it, and then I will upload my Goldberg video tomorrow. I want to make this very clear. That's what's going to happen. I'll even say it in the Great American Bash that I did film my thoughts on Goldberg's last match, and I'm going to release it Monday, which I'm going to release it Monday, unless something happens, which shouldn't. It will be released Monday. You'll see the Great American Bash before Evolution 2. Peace.